Welcome to Pastor's Chat today. Well, we're starting a new psalm, Psalm 78. Psalm 78 is the second longest psalm in the book of Psalms. Of course, Psalm 119 being the longest with 176 verses. Psalm 78 here has 72 verses. It's a history psalm or a historical psalm speaking about the history of Israel, recounting the different things that happened in the nation over the centuries as a lesson to future generations. Matter of fact, the history psalms include Psalm 105, Psalm 106, Psalm 114, 135, and 136. These are history psalms. Now, one of the things that we learn from history, Hegel, the German philosopher, said, is that we don't learn. Well, my friend, that's not only true about the world, but it is true about the church also. It's true about God's people. It's very true about the nation of Israel. Matter of fact, Asaph, who is the writer of this psalm, and we're not sure again which Asaph this is, some believe strongly that it's the Asaph that lived during Hezekiah's reign, and the Asaph that was Isaiah, also his reign, and certain things in the psalm indicate that this Asaph was trying to woo the northern kingdom. A reference to Ephraim, the tribe of Ephraim in this chapter is the northern kingdom back to Jerusalem, back to Judah and Benjamin, the two southern tribes that, of course, remember the split after Solomon was king under the reign of Rehoboam, and they split and they went north. And so there's different indications that this Asaph is writing this psalm, recounting the history, inviting the northern nations to come back to Jerusalem, reunite, and he's being careful not to offend them by the different things he doesn't say, and because he wants them to come back. So anyway, it's a history psalm. It's a song that teaches us. Now, it's a long psalm, so we're going to try to read. As we've been going through the Psalms, we've been trying to read every verse. So we'll be doing that and taking time to make some comments. And so he says in this psalm, in verse 1, "Give ear, O my people, to my law. Incline your ears to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old, which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us. We will not hide them from their children, telling to the generation to come the praises of the Lord, and his strength, and his wonderful works that he has done. For he established a testimony in Jacob, and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers, that they should make them known to their children, that the generation to come might know them, the children who would be born, that they may arise and declare them to their children, that they may set their hope in God, and not forget the works of God, but keep his commandments, and may not be like their fathers, a stubborn and rebellious generation, a generation that did not set its heart aright, and in whose spirit was not faithful to God." Well, Asaph, as he reviews the history of the people, he sees a sad record of forgetfulness, faithlessness, foolishness, and failure. And he's putting it together, trying to teach the generations to come that they may not go down that same path. Now that reminds us, we today are so good at making the same mistake, forgetting God's goodness, becoming faithless and unfaithful, and failing in our walk with God. Matter of fact, in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, he tells us, "Nor let us become idolaters as some of them did," in verse 7. In verse 8, "Don't let us commit sexual immorality as some of them did, and in one day 23,000 fell. Neither let us tempt Christ as some of them also tempted and were destroyed by the destroyers. Nor complain as some of them complained and were destroyed." And now he says, "All these things have happened to them as examples, and they were written for our admonition, upon whom the ends of the ages have come." And so it's very clear in the New Testament, but these things in the Old Testament were written to help us not to be forgetful, not to fall in the paths of those who went the wrong way and forgot God, but to be faithful to God. May God help us to do that, especially as we read this chapter and learn from it for our own benefit today. Well, God bless you, and you have a wonderful, wonderful day.